Hey everyone, it's Rabbi Shmuel Pollen. I just was reading The Mystery of the Shemitah by Johnathan Cahn, who calls himself a rabbi, which is very interesting and very disturbing because I opened the book and the very first thing that I see is a testimonial by Sid Roth. It says, Rabbi Johnathan Cahn is a Jewish prophet who has been chosen to reveal end time mysteries, vital material to put the last day's puzzle together. So he puts this as the very first thing in his book. So he is holding himself out as a rabbi and a prophet. Now, if he's a rabbi, I don't know where he got his ordination. I would like to know, and it should be rescinded because he does not keep the most basic tenets of the oral law, which is signified by the yarmulke. He does not wear a yarmulke. He is not a rabbi because rabbi means teacher of the oral law. And the oral law is what came along with the Bible to help us explain and implement the Bible. And it was codified in the Talmud and the Halacha, in the Code of Jewish Law. And the rabbi is there to teach the oral law that accompanies the written law so that people can actually implement the commandments. And Jesus rejected this oral law. And as a result, this was his way of trying to upend and sort of destroy Orthodox Judaism, halachic Judaism, a traditional Judaism. He's trying to do away with it and instead replace it with the New Testament. And that's what this Johnathan Cahn does as well. He's a follower of Jesus, so he rejects the oral Torah. So therefore, he is not a rabbi. A rabbi is a teacher of the oral Torah. He rejects the oral Torah. He is a Jew. I love him as a Jew. I'm absolutely in love with this Jew, absolutely. But I'm just giving a friendly warning that you should not be holding yourself out as a rabbi because you are not a rabbi. You are a priest or a pastor, and you should put yourself out as such. It's misleading to people, and Jewish people could come to follow you as a rabbi and be misled. And we know what a terrible sin it is to mislead the Jewish people away from their faith. And you are doing that by putting yourself out there as a rabbi. And what's even more serious is that you're putting yourself out there as a prophet. And if you are saying, as I think you are, and in your book, it says this holds the secret to America's future, the world's future, and your future, 3 times future. He's going to tell you the future. He is holding himself out as a prophet. And there's a big problem with that because if you hold yourself out as a prophet and you come on the scene and sell books and say that you're going to tell us the future of the end times, how everything's going to play out, well, Deuteronomy 13 says that if a prophet or someone who has dreams arises among you and proclaims a sign or a wonder for you, and that sign or wonder has promised you comes about, so if he gives a prophecy and it comes about, I mean, it's worse if it doesn't come about, but if it does come about, he's in the rankings. But if he asks you to follow other gods, like Jesus is not the God of the Bible, he's not the God of the Jewish people, he's asking us to listen to his predictions about the future and follow another God, follow another religion, follow Jesus, not follow the oral tradition, not follow the oral Torah. That means the God is testing you, and the verse requires that we purge the evil from our midst and give the false prophet the capital punishment. So the punishment for being a false prophet is death. And that is because a false prophet holds so much power in their hands. When they make a prediction, everybody's waiting to see if it's going to become true. And if it does become true, they're going to listen to whatever he says. And if he says we no longer have to keep the 613 commandments, then we won't have to keep the 613 commandments and Judaism will be destroyed. So anyone who holds himself out as a prophet has the potential to destroy Judaism because they will make a prediction, it will come true, and they will get tons and tons of followers. And that's why they have to be put to death. They have to be killed. And I'm saying this as a friendly warning, and just to remind you, Johnathan Cahn, of Deuteronomy 13, and that you may be running afoul of Deuteronomy 13, and it is quite well known in the Talmud and in Jewish circles of rabbis that the details of the end times are purposely hidden, and Jacob tried to reveal it to his children, according to the Talmud, and he was unable to. And the Maimonides says that you are wasting your time, and it could lead to terrible ideas if you try to figure out what's going to happen in the end times. So we have to be real with people. We have to be real about what Judaism actually says about the end times, that we don't know how it's going to end. And it might sell a lot more books to say that we know how it's going to end, but we don't. And whatever you say is certainly not going to work out, because you're not a true rabbi, you're not a true man of God. So you don't really know what you're talking about. You're making connections, which are good. And I encourage you to continue to make connections between the Bible and current events, which is a good thing that you're doing. But to say that you're a prophet is a problem for you. And I want to spiritually, warn you and help you become a better person, a better teacher, by not calling yourself a rabbi, calling yourself a priest, and so everyone knows what you stand for, and not being deceptive. So people should know who you are and what you stand for, that you're a follower of Jesus. You're not a follower of the oral Torah. You're not a follower of the Talmud. So don't hold yourself out as one. And to hold yourself out as a prophet is extremely dangerous. And if you happen to, a broken clock is right twice a day, so you may be right on some of your predictions, and then you can get tons of people to follow you and bring people away from Judaism, bring the Jewish people away from their true heritage. And that's what we don't want to do. We want the Jewish people to be brought closer to the oral tradition, brought closer to the Talmud, brought closer to the practical observance of the 613 commandments. And if you are a rabbi, that should be your goal. It's my goal. And together, I hope we'll straighten things out. And together, because we're connected, we're similar, because we both are trying to make the connections between the Bible and current events. That's exactly what we do here. But we should not deceive people by making them think that we know what's going to happen next, because we don't. This is only in God's purview, and it's His domain, and we don't enter into His domain and try to make predictions when we don't know what we're talking about. So that's my friendly warning. Continue with the research, continue spreading the knowledge of God on TV and radio and podcasts, and continue to do everything you're doing. Just don't be deceptive and don't call yourself a prophet. And I think if you do those things, and you stop doing those things that you're not supposed to do, you'll have even more success than you're having now. And you'll hopefully, maybe one day receive real prophecy and become a real prophet, which is what I would like to see. I would like to see you become a real prophet, not a deceptive one. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and God bless.